Hey, this is Joe with SoFly, and in this video, we are going to export WooCommerce orders to a custom CSV using WPL export. So you can see here, I have a bunch of WooCommerce orders. There are about 5,600 of them. So to get started with my export, we're going to go down here to All Export and select New Export. Now here from the pull down, we will select WooCommerce Orders. And you can see all of my orders are right here, 5,651. Now in this section here, we have some filtering options. So we can decide to export just a subset of those orders. We can create the rules by just clicking around in here. So for example, if I wanted to export orders that were newer than January 1st, 2022, so only orders from this year, add that rule. You can see that's updated. And I can say, let's only export folks that order in California. The building state equals California, and it was this year. We have 197 orders that meet that criteria. And then we can also get a little bit more specific with our rules. We can say, like, if the order date and the billing state, if the order date is newer than 2022 and the billing state is California, where we can say like, or whatever we want to do. In this case, I'm going to export all of my orders, all 5,651 of them. So we'll get rid of those rules, close this up. Now, if we were migrating these orders to a different WordPress site, we could just click Migrate Orders and let WPL Export take care of the rest. In this case, we're going to make a custom export file. So I'll click Customize Export File. Here on the left, we have our actual export file. We can drag and drop to move things around. We can drag things out of here and get rid of them. We can preview it to see what we're looking at. So that's it right there. So let's start over here with ordered. We have all of our general order data over here. I definitely want to have order total in there and the completed date. And then we have order status. Get that guy in there. And that's all good for here. So right now I'm just going to drag in the fields that I want, and then we'll go ahead and organize them later. We have all of our billing information for our customers. And what I could do is I could drag in like billing first name, billing last name, then all the billing address stuff. But if I do that, this is all going to end up in separate columns, which I don't really want. I want these all to be in one column, right? So first, I just want a name column. I just want an address column. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of these. And I'm going to go over here to Add Field. I'm going to select Custom Export Field. I'm going to call this Name. And then I'm going to go over here to Customer. And I'm going to pull in the first name, add a space, and then add the last name. We'll go ahead and preview that. And you can see here, now we have a custom export field with the first name and the last name in it. That is exactly what I want. Now, if I wanted to, I could go down here and I could process this data somehow with a custom PHP function. In this case, I don't really need that. So we're just going to leave this as it is and save that. All right, so drag this over here. I don't really need the title, order total. I like that guy, and date over there. All right, now let's make another custom export field for the billing name or the billing address. So field, and we'll just put in address, and here billing address 1. Comma and a space, city, comma space, and then let's add the state, the comma and a space, and the postcode. All right, that preview looks good. Now we have our address here with the street and number, city, state, and postcode. Perfect. Save that. All right. Put their email address in here. Like this over here. Looks good. All right. Now let's take a look at the items. So these are the items that they purchased. Let's put in the product name and the SKU and see how that looks. So here's the product name, so they bought a dress. And here is the variation information, size large, color red, and the SKU. And that's their order total. It's good. We have some advanced options here. And this is the one we're looking at here. So display each product in its own row. I'm going to turn that off. So if an order contains multiple products, each product will have its own row. If disabled, each product will have its own column. What I want in my export is I want every single row to just be an order. So let's see. So now we have product name 1, product name 2, product name 3. So you can see here, this person bought 2 products, third column is blank, this person bought 1 product, etc. I want to get a quantity in here as well. So I want to see how many of these things they bought. So put the product name over there. I'm going to put order total at the end because I feel like that makes more sense. There. Perfect. All right. So we can go ahead and close out items. Moving along, we have taxes and shipping. All of the shipping information is going to be here. I don't really care about that for my export. We have fees and discounts. Not really interested in that for this export. Any notes that were attached to the orders. Refund data is over here. Custom fields that are added by WordPress and other plugins. These all show up here. Any other random stuff that we have that we kind of feel just miscellaneous, we just kind of dump in this folder over here. Don't really need any of that. And if you have ACF, all of your ACF fields for your orders are going to show up here and you can drag and drop that data. I don't have any, so we're going to leave that as is. All right. So I don't need to change the CSV separator, and I definitely want to include the header row and the column titles in my export. So I'm going to leave that enabled. We're going to go ahead and close this up. Order ID, completed date. But change the title here to just date. Clean things up a little bit. Just call this email. Perfect. One last preview. You know what? I don't need the time here in this date field. Let me get rid of the time. All right. So right here, you can see my date field. This is how the date's formatted. So you have, this is the default here, and it has the year, the month, the date, and then the time. I'm just going to do this here. So month, and then date, and then here. Save that. Give that a preview. And there is our date. Perfect. All right, I'm happy with this. So I'm going to go ahead and run my export. Down here, we can determine which type of export file we create. So we can have an Excel file, XLS or XLSX. We can have a CSV, or if we wanted to, we could export these to XML. In this case, we're just going to stick with Spreadsheet and continue. All right, so the export's ready to run. So these options here, I'm just going to leave these as the default. We have our scheduling options here. I'm not going to run this import on a schedule. Check the description below if you did want to run this on a schedule and, for example, email this like every Monday to yourself or add it to Dropbox or something like that. Check the description below. We have a video on that. In this case, I'm just going to run this export as a one-off, and we'll check out the export file. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and confirm and run my export. And this will take a few minutes. We'll let it run and come back when it's finished. All right, so that didn't take too long. So let's check out what we have here. So we can download our file here. We can download the CSV. We can download a bundle that has our exported data and a settings file for WP All Import if we wanted to import these orders to a different site. However, I would recommend you watch the video in the description below. If you want to migrate your orders, there's a better way to do it than this. Down here, we have a secure URL. So we can generate a secure URL. And then every time that this export is run, this URL is not going to change, but it's going to supply the latest version of that export file. I don't need that, so I'm going to remove the file URL. Over here, we have some scheduling options, external app integration like Google Drive, Dropbox, email, stuff like that. And then over here, if you wanted to edit this file in Excel and then re-import it back into WordPress with the changes, you'd take care of that over here. In this case, we're just going to download the CSV and now check out our file. All right, so here's what we got. We have our order date over here and the order ID, our name. So we combine the first name and the last name into a single field. We have their email address, their actual address, which is a bunch of different fields all combined into one place, order status, the quantities for the products that were purchased, the SKUs, and our order total. So that's everything that we kind of put together for this export file. And it's all nice there and easy to set up. All right, so that is all it takes to export your WooCommerce orders to a custom CSV using WP All Export. Thanks for watching, and we will see you soon.